With so many different standards available, from brake styles to axle types to gear shifters, it can be quite daunting to remove the wheel from your bicycle. In this video we hope to help you by presenting a few examples of different bikes. Although looking quite differently, they generally use no tools or a very simple 50mm spanner or a 5 or 6mm Allen key. In this first example we're going to look at a road bike with caliper brakes. We'll look at the back wheel. So here I'm shifting the shifter into the highest gear, and what that does is it means I can pull the chain down to the bottom cog, and that moves the mech as far away from the wheel as possible. I now lift this little lever and that will bring the brake pads further away from the rim. I now pull down the quick release lever and push straight down on the wheel, and it pops straight out. Refitting the wheel is just a reversal of that process. You can see that I'm aligning the chain with the highest cog on the bike, and I'm dropping that into the frame. I'm just checking the wheels aligned here, and then it should be about finger tight to about halfway to 45 degrees, and then it should require your palm to close it the rest of the way, although it shouldn't be excessive. I'm just showing you this from a different angle again. This next bike is a kid's bike with V-brakes and grip shift gear shifters. You can see me moving the shifter forwards, which allows me to drop the chain into the highest gear. I then hold the two brake arms together and pull this little noodle to remove the brake. You can see I've now got space to get the tyre out through the brakes. This bike has a fixed solid axle, so it uses a 15mm spanner in order to loosen the nuts. So on each side of the bike you just rotate those nuts to the left to loosen, and once they've loosened off, the wheel should just drop straight out of the frame. This process is reversed in a very similar way. As you can see, I'm aligning the chain onto the highest gear, that's the smallest cog. I'm just making sure here that any sort of washers, any silver washers, are outside of the frame. I'm just tightening these finger tight at the moment, and then I'll finish that off with the spanner. And now finally I'm just going to reconnect these brakes by pushing the two brake arms together and reinserting the noodle into the left arm of the brake there. This next bike is a gravel bike with cantilever brakes. So you can see here it's very similar to the process with the V-brake. You push the two arms together and then you remove the connecting cable. This bike has a quick release, so I'm just removing the quick release lever and spinning it back a little bit. The front wheel you have to open up a little bit more than the back wheel, as they generally have little tabs to stop the front wheel falling out in an accident. Popping the wheel back on is just a reversal of that process. I'm just screwing the quick release lever in until it's finger tight, and then I'll close it with the palm of my hand. To re-engage the brakes is just a reversal of that process. Push the two arms together and reinsert that cable, just making sure that it's nice and tight, and give it. This is a mountain bike with a trigger style shifter. So I'm using my index finger here to do the same process of moving the chain onto the smallest sprocket, which will move the rear derailleur away from the frame. This bike has a clutch mechanism, so you can see there's a little lever here that I need to push back in order to allow the mech to open up easily. This bike has a bolt through axle, so this uses a 5mm Allen key just to unloosen this bolt, which then slides completely out of the bike. Now when you lift the back end of the bike, the wheel should just drop straight out of the frame. If you do have a bike with hydraulic disc brakes, when you take the wheel off, make sure that you don't press the brake lever, as you can push the pads together and this can cause serious issues. If you do just happen to bump the lever, your pads can sometimes push together and you won't be able to get the disc back in. You can see here I'm just demonstrating how to very gently press back the pads with a screwdriver in this instance. Another factor we have to consider when installing a wheel on a bike with disc brakes is that the brake disc itself lines up with the caliper. You can see I'm just ensuring that as I drop the frame back onto the wheel. And here's just another angle, making sure that the chain drops onto the highest gear so that it aligns perfectly in the frame. And once we have the frame aligned, we can reinsert the axle to the frame. So I'm just giving it a little bash in here, and then that's tightened up with an Allen key. I hope that between the examples I've offered today, you'll be able to find the correct way to remove your wheel. Thanks for watching.